They laughed when I failed. They whispered when I struggled. And when I finally disappeared, no one came looking. But silence doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes, silence is where strength learns to breathe. They said I'd never make it. That I was too soft, too emotional, too fragile. But the thing about people who underestimate you is that they never notice when you start growing wings. Because today, the same people who once called me nothing stand in rooms built by my success, pretending they always believed in me. My name is Elara Miles. I'm 37 years old. And if you'd met me a few years ago, you wouldn't believe who I am now. Back then, I was the kind of woman who apologized even when someone else hurt me. The kind who stayed quiet just to keep the peace. The kind who mistook suffering for strength. I thought love meant loyalty. I thought family meant safety. I thought being good would make people stay. I was wrong. I grew up in a house where love had conditions. My mother, Ruth, never gave affection freely. It always came with a test, a rule, a comparison, a silent measure of worth. And my younger sister, Tanya, knew exactly how to play that game. She was the golden child, the beautiful one, the clever one, the one who could do no wrong. And me. I was the responsible one, the invisible glue holding everything together. The one who cleaned up when no one noticed the mess. The one who stayed up late to help Tanya with her schoolwork, only to watch her get the praise. You know what it feels like to be called strong your whole life? It sounds like a compliment, until you realize it's just another way of saying, no one's coming to help you. When my father died, I was 22. Everyone fell apart, except me. I planned the funeral, handled the bills, sold my car to cover what was left of the debt. Mom didn't say thank you. She just looked at me and said, "You've always been too soft, Elara. That's why you'll never make it in life." Those words burned themselves into me. Every failure, every rejection, every lonely night. I could still hear them echoing inside my head. At 26, I met Mark. He was everything my heart was desperate for: charming, confident, funny. He told me I was different, that I deserved the world. And for the first time in my life, I believed it. We got married within a year. He promised forever. And I believed him. But forever, it's a dangerous word, because it makes you blind to the cracks. At first, it was harmless. Little jokes about my dreams. Teasing me when I talked about starting a design business. Then it became sharper, colder. Controlling what I wore. Mocking my friends. Telling me to be realistic. By the time I realized what was happening, I was already too small inside my own life. When I got pregnant, I thought things would change. Maybe the idea of a family would soften him. Maybe he'd finally love me the way I had loved him. Instead, he left. No warning. No explanation. Just a folded note on the kitchen counter that said, "You were never enough." That night, I remember holding my newborn daughter, Luna, in my arms. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I could hear the refrigerator hum louder than my heartbeat. And I whispered, "You'll never have to beg for love like I did." That was the night something inside me changed. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a quiet, sharp shift, the kind that turns pain into focus. The next few years were a blur. I worked 3 jobs. Morning shifts at a small clinic. Evenings designing rooms for clients who promised to pay next week. Nights spent sketching at the kitchen table while Luna slept beside me. Some nights I'd look at her tiny hands and wonder if she'd grow up resenting me. For being tired, for being absent, for being not enough. But every time that thought came, I'd remind myself, I was building something she'd one day understand. When she turned 4, I registered my design business officially. Miles & Co. It sounded ridiculous then, like a dream too big for my small apartment. But I didn't care. Dreams were the only currency I had. And slowly, it started to work. A client recommended me to another. Then another. Word spread. People liked my eye for detail, my warmth, my patience. They said my designs felt like home. Maybe because that's all I'd ever wanted, a place that finally felt like home. By 35, I had a small studio. 2 assistants. Clients who paid on time. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't surviving. I was living. One quiet Thursday afternoon. While working on a project, my phone buzzed. A text from Tanya. Mom's turning 60 this weekend. Big party at the house. You should come. Everyone will be there. Everyone. Except me, the ghost they'd chosen to forget. I almost ignored it. But something inside me wanted closure. Not revenge. Just clarity. So that weekend I went. The old house looked exactly the same. Same curtains. Same smell of overcooked perfume and old carpets. Even the doormat still said, "Welcome," a word that never belonged to me there. Luna, now 9, ran ahead, clutching a small bracelet she made herself. She wanted to gift it to her grandmother. Her heart was too pure, untouched by the bitterness of adults. When Mom opened the door, her smile faltered. "Oh, you came." No hug. No warmth. Just a tone that said I was unexpected and maybe unwanted. Inside, laughter filled every corner. Cousins, aunts, neighbors, all pretending we never gone years without speaking. No one asked how I'd been. No one even said, "We missed you." Until Tanya, in her usual perfect dress, tilted her head and said, "So, Elara, still doing that little design thing?" Everyone chuckled. "And Mom," she added, "she's always been a dreamer, not much of a doer." That familiar sting hit again. The kind of pain that doesn't hurt your skin, it hurts your dignity. I took a breath, ready to let it go like always. But before I could, Luna spoke up. "My mom built her own company," she said proudly. "And she bought our house herself." Silence. It was so quiet, I could hear the clock tick. Tanya blinked. Mom's fork clinked against her plate. And for the first time, I didn't shrink. I just smiled. I realized something in that moment. I didn't need their approval. I already had my peace. After dinner, I stepped outside. The air was cool, the sky burning orange with the sunset. I stood there quietly, feeling both heavy and light. Mom came out a few minutes later. Her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "You've changed, Elara. I didn't expect you to make it." I looked at her. "You never did, Mom. That's what pushed me." She lowered her gaze. "I didn't know I hurt you that much." I smiled, not cruelly but honestly. "You didn't just hurt me. You taught me what kind of love I'd never give my daughter." Then I turned and walked away. Luna's small hand slipped into mine. Warm, trusting, whole. I didn't look back. A year later, Miles & Co. was featured in an international design magazine. My face on the cover. My story printed for the world to read. They called me the woman who built beauty from brokenness. I remember staring at that headline and laughing softly. Because they didn't know the half of it. My mother saw it too. She called that evening. Her voice trembled. "I saw the article, Elara. I always knew you'd make it." I smiled. "No, Mom, you knew I'd try, but I made it because you didn't believe I could." She went quiet. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I felt release. Because forgiveness isn't always about them. Sometimes, it's just about finally setting yourself free. Now, years later, my daughter is 14. Luna's laughter fills every corner of our home, the kind I never had growing up. She's creative, fearless, kind. And every time she asks me for advice, I tell her this. Don't spend your life trying to be understood. Spend it becoming undeniable. She doesn't fully get it yet, but one day she will. Because she's seen it. She's seen me fall. She's seen me rebuild. She's seen what silence can become when it finally finds its voice. Sometimes, late at night, I sit by the window with a cup of tea. The same rain falls outside. The same piano plays softly in my head. And I think about that girl I used to be, the one who thought love had to be earned. I wish I could tell her, you were never too soft. You were never too much. You were just surrounded by people too small to understand your heart. If I've learned anything, it's this. The world doesn't break the strong. It breaks the silent. And if you stay silent too long, they'll convince you you're powerless. But the truth is, pain is just power in disguise. All it needs is a purpose. I don't hate them anymore. Not my mother. Not my sister. Not even Mark. Because every one of them taught me something I couldn't have learned from kindness. They taught me resilience. They taught me independence. They taught me the beauty of starting over, alone. And that, ironically, is what love should have been all along. I'm Elara Miles. The woman they called weak. The one they dismissed, ignored, and doubted. But I stayed quiet long enough to let my success speak for me. Now when they say my name, they don't say it with pity. They say it with respect. And that's all the closure I ever needed. Because strength isn't about fighting the world. It's about surviving the people who were supposed to love you and still choosing to love yourself.